It's ya boy, Luke, man. I had a comment recently, it was like, ya boy equals sign off to never be seen again. So to that guy in particular, it's ya boy. What's going on? It's ya boy, Luke, man. And I've got a special for you today. It's called Alternate Picking Smorgasbord Sample Platter. I'm really excited about it because my philosophy with practicing techniques, training techniques nowadays is a little bit like, just introduce it, just get a feel for it, get a vibe for it. It's like, hey, check this thing out, you know, like this is called the shake weight, so give it a shot, you know. And then people are like trying out their shake weight and stuff, and like, oh yeah, this is cool, you know, maybe they put it down or whatever. But over time, you know, they might end up getting some incredible results with the shake weight. So that's kind of my approach to techniques as well. So my current shake weight, so to say, is scalpel picking, and this is something that I've just kind of had over years. And that's like the thing, like when I learned economy picking, it was really difficult because I got a taste of it, I started doing it, and then I expected to be like super killer at it and just hit it with the metronome super hard and get it down really quick. And it didn't happen like that at all. And because I took that approach, it really set me back in my other techniques, such as alternate picking, just like ruined it completely, you know. And then I was really frustrated and tense, and like, you know, my identity at the time had to do with my alternate picking. Okay, so it was all shattered. All right, so yeah, now my approach, my philosophy is like, hey, just check this thing out. And then what guitar players do instinctively, what the guitar players do naturally is like, oh, I'm gonna practice this thing, right? So it's like, oh, that's hard, so I'll just play this. Get. You know what I mean? And so you get distracted, you start playing other stuff that you know. So maybe some of the other stuff that you know is like this thumping lick that you learned, or perhaps it's this scalpel picking thing, or perhaps it's a little bit of economy picking, right? So you play it. And then you go, oh yeah, I know that one economy picking. And that's cool. And then over time, that lick becomes really strong. It becomes one of your stronger licks in your arsenal. And then, and only then, does it make sense to sit there with the metronome and build that up with what I like to call the speed building blueprint, you know, basically taking more of a sprinter's approach than a long run approach, you know, long distance approach. A lot of people, they try to get faster with the metronome without taking any breaks, or just play something that they can't play at the same tempo consistently. But it's like, no, let's just break it down into a small little piece, you know, build that up. Anyway, that process only needs to take place after you can really feel the lick, you know. It's almost like when you first get introduced to a technique, it's like you're on a balancing board, or like one of those half moon balancing balls, and your legs are all, they're all wobbly. And then eventually you graduate, you get yourself like a workbench, and now you're doing the technique on top of a workbench, and it's much more stable. And then you can actually kind of use it with the metronome. So I've gone through this process, and I wanted to share it with you because I've been working on this scalpel picking technique since I was like 14, you know. It was first introduced to me. I've heard of it called circle picking, called ingve picking, called scalpel picking. But it's a cool technique, and it's really effortless. Shout out to my boy Danny De La Cruz, super handsome gentleman, super beautiful man, just as a person, and super beautiful guitar playing and technique. Man, this guy's got so much feel and flow. And it's all effortless because he's using this little scalpel picking technique. And it looks like this. You know, so I wanted to develop the technique because it's pretty much the most virtuosic looking technique. It's like such little effort, and there's some science behind it too. It's like your smaller muscle groups are going to move faster naturally. So if we're talking about Pete Townsend, it's the most aesthetic but most inefficient picking technique. Next, so that's in the shoulder joint, right? And then the next we graduate to the forearm, the elbow. This is like Zach Wilde's handbook. I don't think I'm even doing it right. He does it so fast, right? He's like, it's hard for me to synchronize it, but he figured it out, you know, using a lot of muting with his left hand. And kudos to him. It fits his like gorilla aesthetic. So I think it's cool, you know. Go for it, Zach Wilde. And then next we have like kind of Paul Gilbert's approach is to use the wrist, and I'm sure the bull combustor kind of using our wrist. Marty Friedman, I think, is definitely kind of like a wrist player as well. And I like that wrist thing too. So that's what I did for a very long time. I say did, like I for sure do that technique. It's not like I understand this scalpel picking technique, but I was showing my client just the other night. Awesome dude. Well, anyway, I was working with him and he cut his hand, so I decided to give him some right hand stuff to just kind of like work on and stay occupied and busy with. And it's a galloping rhythm that goes so it's kind of in like 5/4 or 5/8 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 can make it 7/8 by adding one more gallop. And if I use my right hand and I use my wrist, there's a lot of motion, tons of wasted energy. Check this out. I'm going. Now, for alternate picking, I learned to do it down, up, 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 so that I could do a little bit faster. How long do you think that took me? A while. Again, it's the same sort of idea where I introduced the technique and then over time it became a little bit easier. But check this out. If I use that technique with scalpel picking, and really the technique, I'm not even thinking about getting all 3 notes of the gallop. I think about getting 2. And then if I relax my hand after that, the third one happens naturally. So I kind of like flex. It's almost like a thumb war sort of vibe, or like you're getting buttons on the remote, smashing that A on the GameCube controller. Not too much difference in tone, okay? Like within a distorted guitar, with a clean guitar, yeah, it's gonna have like a really screechy, scratchy sound, like because I am kind of just scratching the wound coils on my